My name is June Petteys, and I'm going to be talking about my mother, Catherine Russell, who was the oldest of 14 children and had 9 children of her own. She was, she was a role model. She was a Christian who lived the life that she believed. She worked very hard all her life, but she taught us right from wrong, what was expected of us. She had goals for us. And as I said, we all worked hard. Most of us grew up in the drought and depression, which was difficult for families. And my mom was a person that other people came to for advice and help. She helped deliver babies. She was a barber. People that couldn't afford to go to the barber to get their hair cut during the drought and depression in the Dakotas, my mom cut their hair, received nothing for it except thanks. It was just something that she did. She brought us up to believe that you don't just give, you just don't take. You always have to give. That's the way you're supposed to be living. And the first, until I was 6 months old, we lived in town, and then we moved onto a farm, and the rest of my life was lived on a farm. And as I said, those were very difficult days during the drought and depression, although I can remember before 29 when my parents used to take a trip in the fall of the year, and they always brought new clothes for us kids. They were usually gone for a couple of days, and we were responsible for taking care of things at home then. And as I said, Mom taught us how to bake and cook and how to sew and do all things right. She said we couldn't leave home until we could make a decent loaf of bread and make a decent pie crust. But she even taught the boys how to run the sewing machine, because she said that it wouldn't hurt them if they had a pair of pants or something to sit down at the machine and sew them up. And my mother was in an accident when I was about, I think, 8 or 9 years old, and she got hurt. The car tipped over, and my mom got her neck hurt, and she would, all of a sudden, if she turned her head a certain way, she would just pass out. And we kids were taught how to, get to Mom right away and to get her sitting up straight. And there wasn't anything the doctor said that they could do. There was apparently a pinched nerve, but it wasn't anything. And in later years, it got better. But I remember when it first happened, my mom had long red hair, long enough that she could sit on it, and the doctors suggested that they cut the weight of that maybe that would help. And they used to laugh. They used to call her the judge when they cut her hair, because it made her look so different. But then she let it grow out again, and my mom's hair was long. And for special occasions, I used to fix it a certain way, but it was never cut again. And as I said, my mother did not have much in the way of formal education. She only graduated or only finished the 6th grade, but she never stopped learning. And except for advanced math and sciences, Mom could help us with any of our homework. And she loved reading, and I suppose maybe our fondest memories of all of us kids was Mom sitting reading late at night we just had kerosene lamps. We didn't have electricity on the farm in those days, and if we were gone out for an evening, Mom was always sitting there waiting for us till we got home. And as I said, we never had much in the way of things, but we were a very loving family. We shared what we had, And as I said, Mom always, while we were one of the poorest families in our neighborhood, Mom always at holiday time found somebody that was worse off than we were, and she always invited them to our house to share in a holiday meal. And as I said, people came to my mom for advice. There was just something about her, and the older I've gotten, the more I've appreciated the way that my mom was, and I know my sisters and I especially have talked about that. But she was, when she was 72 years old, we lost my dad, and Mom seemed to be lost after that. It was a very difficult time for her, and though we were a loving, close family, Mom was just totally lost without her. My one sister said, I think Dad was her backbone. I mean, they always discussed things, but maybe in the end, Dad was the one that made a decision if a decision had to be made. But Mom, as I said after that, and she was sitting next to me in church and had a stroke, and it did affect her memory some. And that was a difficult time. There were times when her mind was clear and other times when it was not following that stroke. But she was such a wonderful cook and baker and sewer. Her grandmother had been a professional dressmaker, and she had taught Mom. And she said, the one thing you do, the difference between homemade and tailored was how you finish things, and so you better finish it so it doesn't look homemade. And as I said, she just was our support all of those years. We could go to Mom with anything. She just seemed to have the right thing to say and do. And as I said, the older I got, the more I treasured what she was to us and the role model that she was. It just does not seem... I've never come across anyone. I've met a lot of people in my life, but I've never come across anyone that was the kind of a role model that my mother was. And I've tried to emulate her, but I have fallen so far short. And but she was a wonderful woman that had not much in the way of material things, but had so much love to share.